What is going on, guys? Joe here with Odyssey Off-Road. So this video here is going to be about if you're new to dirt biking and you're not really sure what to expect, you want to get into dirt biking. I was in your shoes. I've been dirt biking now for a year and I've learned a lot over that year. I'm no expert by any means. So I wanted to kind of go over some things that you should think about if you're getting into dirt biking, what I've learned in the first year of dirt biking. And yeah, so let's start it off with number one thing. Are you sure you want to ride dirt bikes? And I say that because it sounds fun, sounds exciting, but there's many people who just get absolutely freaked out real easy and then give up on things. If that's you and you're not a determined person, I wouldn't suggest dirt biking. I'm just being bluntly honest with you. You're going to fall. You're going to fall a lot. They may be slow tip overs. I still have them myself. You may wipe out going at speed. You're going to fall. You're on two wheels with 3 to 4 inches of rubber contacting the ground, and you've never rode a motorcycle before. You're going to have accidents. So it's obviously a lot better in the dirt than out in the street where you can get killed by a car. But you're going to fall. It's just the nature of the beast. You're going to be riding in terrain that is rough, potentially slippery, loss of traction, all these things. So be prepared to fall. And that's just the nature of riding bikes. So second thing is, comes with the first. You're going to fall a lot. You're going to sustain damage. Okay. For the most part, dirt bikes are pretty durable, depending on the bikes you get. But you're going to fall. You cannot be freaked out and be like, oh my God, I just spent, $5,000, $10,000, $12,000 on this bike and I just dropped it. Now it's got scratches. It's got broken lever. It's got this, it's got that. Be prepared because it is going to happen. I paid $12,000 for this Husqvarna and I've dropped it about 5 times probably. And that was all on one ride. So you're gonna get damaged. 2 strokes, you're gonna get, ding up the pipes because they're susceptible. I got a little ding on mine, as you can see, tiny little one, but it's there. Your plastics are gonna get scuffed up from your leg. I broke my lever here, my brake lever, fortunately. So I still use it with 2 fingers, so I just left it. But I am gonna get some wraparound handguards, which protects your levers better. And I'll replace it at that time. But right now, it's not that bad. I have a couple scratches on the plastics. It's just the nature of the beast. When you have a bike, you're gonna drop it. You're gonna get some scratches. You have to just be willing to accept that stuff, or else, you're not gonna enjoy the experience, okay? It's not like I'm not saying beat the hell out of it and be okay with that, because obviously it's an investment. You wanna take care of what you bought. But just understand, you are gonna drop it, and when you drop it and the bike hits the ground, you're gonna get some scratches and you're gonna get some damage. So it's not like another type of off-road machine where you can say, do your best to keep it on 4 wheels, for example, like on a quad. For the most part, if you get it on and off it easy, you're not driving through, brush where branches are whacking your plastics, you can keep them looking pretty good for a long time. On a dirt bike, it's a lot harder. So just keep that in mind. The third thing I would say, consider, okay, you've decided now at this point you want to ride dirt bikes. Now I'm saying all this stuff again, guys, from a beginner myself. I'm only been riding dirt bikes for a year. And these are all things that, when I first started, I kind of tried to figure out on my own. Like, what do I want to do? What type of riding do I want to do? Am I even going to like it? How much money do I want to spend to get started? So that's something you want to consider. If you're just starting out and you're not sure you're going to want to do this and you just, sticking your toe in the water, maybe you have a friend with an old bike that he doesn't use much and it's a little beat up. He'll let you use and try out. or spend a little bit of money and get something used. The only problem there is, you could get a clunker. You get something that doesn't run right, previous owner didn't take care of. It's got the hell beaten out of it. And now not only are you learning how to ride, but you're fighting the bike that you bought because it's a piece of crap. It's falling apart and doesn't run right. So there's a lot of pros and cons to buying new versus used. That's a topic for another video, but that's something you're going to want to consider. I've always bought new with the dirt bikes. So when I first started a year ago, about 13 months ago now, actually, what I did was I purchased a air-cooled Honda CRF 250F trail bike. I would say if you're living out west and you're going to ride a lot of wide open spaces, probably not the bike to buy to start, because it's got a lot of drawbacks in terms of once the speeds pick up and power and suspension and all that. So once you get comfortable riding, if you decide, hey, I really like this, you're going to run out of bike quick with that if you're riding in open areas. If you're riding in tight woods, slow pace stuff, you'd probably be fine for a long time with that bike. So I moved on rather quick from that. I've had 4 different motorcycles. Put them up on the screen here. I had that bike, then I had a Beta X Trainer, then I had a Yamaha WR 250F and the Husqvarna here. This is the T250 Husqvarna 2025, 2-stroke, obviously. So that leads you to the other question: what type of bike to buy and start on? 2-stroke or 4-stroke? 2-stroke is an intimidating word for a lot of people who are new, and mostly because 2-strokes are always, in the past, you got to be on the pipe. Therefore going fast, big power band, crazy hit. Intimidating. Modern enduro 2-strokes are not that type of bike. They're far removed from that. And I can't tell you how many people still don't get that. I get comments on my videos all the time where I'm riding in tight trails or slow paced, picking your way through rock gardens, stuff like that. People are like, man, you ride slow, get on the pipe. You can't ride a 2-stroke like that. And it just shows the absolute ignorance and, false narratives that are spread on the internet by people who have no idea what a modern 2-stroke actually is, what they're designed for, and how to ride them. So there are different 2-stroke bikes you can get. If you get an enduro bike like I have here, they're happy doing absolutely anything. They're not meant to be ripping and on the pipe all the time. They are meant actually to trail ride and go slow and lug it without having a problem. That's what they're tuned and designed to do. If you want a motocross bike that you have to be on the pipe all the time, then go ahead and buy that. But that type of 2-stroke bike is not the type of bike you want to start and learn on. So if you are wanting to dabble in 2-strokes, get yourself an enduro 2-stroke. You're going to tell it's an enduro tuned 2-stroke simply by the fact it has a headlight and a taillight typically. Comes with handguards, stuff like that. And those are going to be, for Husqvarna, it's the TE line, and for KTM, it's the XCWs. They are tuned much milder. There's not a huge hit, where it's going to, be rip the bars off out of your hands, when the power kicks on. It's a very linear power, 4-stroke like. So that leads me to a little bit of another thing. Do not start off on a motocross bike, okay? You're learning how to ride. The motocross bikes are tuned extremely hot, whether it's a 2-stroke or a 4-stroke. There's a lot of drawbacks to a motocross bike for trail riding, okay? Unless you're learning how to ride and you're going to be a motocross rider. That's the type of riding you're learning how to do. And that's a different story. Obviously, you're going to want a motocross bike. Most people want to get a dirt bike to go ride in the woods with their friends, or go ride out in the desert, or trail ride. You do not want a motocross bike for that. For one, the suspension is extremely stiff. You're going to get beat up. 2, the bike and the power delivery is tuned very hot. It's not going to like going slow. It's going to want to be going fast all the time. And that is not the type of bike you want to buy for your first purchase and your first dirt bike to learn how to ride on. That's not the type of bike you want to buy. You don't want a motocross bike, even if you're an experienced rider, to trail ride. It's just not the right tool for the job. That's just simple facts. So you think about all these things. Get yourself the right bike. Take your time to make the decision. I've gone through 4 different bikes. A lot of that is figuring out what type of riding I like to do, experimenting with different type of riding. Not everybody can afford to do that, I understand. So figure out what the bike is going to be for you that's going to suit your needs. Make sure you do a lot of research first. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments. I'd be happy to try and answer them for you in an honest way from somebody who's been in your shoes. So if you ask really experienced riders, there's a lot of ego in this. A lot of dirt bike community is very, very good, but there's probably like 20% of the community I've found that is got a huge inflated ego, and they think they're all the next motocross superstar, and that they need to tell you how to ride the way they think you should ride, and how you're not riding good, and you need a 450 and all that stuff. So don't listen to those people. Don't let those people infiltrate your brain. Just use some common sense, and you'll be fine. So another thing to consider when choosing the right bike for yourself is, how tall are you? Okay. Your height is going to play a huge factor in your growing and your skill development in riding a dirt bike, because you are going to, like I said, fall a lot. And when you're riding, a lot of the falls, for me personally, come when I lose my footing and I'm not that tall and I can't touch the ground quite well. And so I end up tipping the bike over, slowly, a lot of slow tip overs, because you can't touch the ground. You're in uneven terrain a lot of times. So if you get a bike with a huge seat height and you're really short and you can't touch the ground, that's a no-go. So get a bike that, and bikes are easily modified. Some bikes are not, however. So the KTM XCW line, for example, they have a PDS rear shock. So there's not many things you can do to lower that bike other than a low seat, which is only going to get you so much, and then having the suspension completely pulled off the bike, brought to the suspension shop, retuned, and lowered internally in the shock, stuff like that. If you get a bike with a linkage like this, like most motorcycles have, you can get a lowering link. And I know there's a lot of taboo people saying, don't do that, you ruin the bike, yada, yada, yada. If you're trail riding, I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to notice the difference, other than the fact that you're going to be able to touch the ground. It's not. I did it on my WR250F against a lot of the naysayers, and it had zero negative effects in terms of handling and all that stuff that I found. I really enjoyed the bike after that much more, and I had much more confidence on the bike. So don't be afraid to do something like that. I wouldn't go too far lower with the links, maybe like an inch lowering link, get a low seat, and you can make almost any bike fairly low enough. If you're really, really short, and you want to go and you're okay with the 2-stroke lineup, Beta makes some great bikes that are lower to the ground to begin with. So they're already 35 to 36 inch seat heights, rather than most other bikes on the market, which are 37 to 39 inch seat heights. So those are things to consider as well. Make sure you don't overlook that aspect of purchasing. One of the biggest things I've learned in riding dirt bikes for this year is confidence is key. And when I say that, it's kind of a double-edged statement. So it's like a double-edged sword there, because in one sense, you can't get confidence without continuing riding. But in the other, you can't continue riding if you don't have confidence. So it's kind of like, what comes first? Well, the fact of the matter is, you're just gonna have to have some confidence in yourself that you can get through the learning curve, and keep pushing, and don't give up if it's something you really want to do and learn. Because myself, I mean, I first got that first bike, I rode around my backyard. I have a little over an acre property, so I just tried to work on balancing, did some figure eights, rode around my backyard for a couple of days. I put a few hours on the bike, just riding in my backyard in circles and going slow. And I felt like I was ready to venture off onto a trail. I left my neighborhood. I hit the first trail, and I scared the hell out of myself. I nearly wiped out several times. I dumped the bike twice, spun out on it. I got home, felt extremely defeated, and was like, man, maybe I'm in over my head. After, a cold beverage and a shower, I said, nope, this is something you want to do. So you're gonna push through and do it. I was determined to conquer it. And that being said, I haven't developed into the world-class dirt bike rider. If you guys watch any of my videos, you'll see I'm just a mediocre rider, but I have fun doing it. And I have a lot more confidence at this point in most situations that I can at least navigate through it. And so you'll get there. I guess the point is what I'm trying to say is you will get there if you have the confidence in yourself to believe that you can learn to do it. If I can do it at age 48 and never ridden a motorcycle in my life, not even a street bike, then I'm confident most of you can do it too. So I believe in you, believe in yourself. So you're going to fall a lot, like I said. There's a big learning curve with riding dirt bikes, especially if you're coming from something else like an ATV or something like that. Everything's foreign, everything's opposite of what you used to and what you know. And just watch some instructional videos online from people that know what they're talking about on technique, how to ride properly, and work on one thing at a time. Don't become overwhelmed and or keep my toes in, stand, do this, lean, slide forward on the seat and turns, put my leg, all these different things and techniques can become overwhelming because you first ride, you're like, oh my God, I gotta do all these different things. You're trying to think and remember all these things while you're riding, and it just becomes not fun. So a video I seen a while ago when I first started, which really helped me, it was that night that I came home feeling defeated. There was I forget who made the video, but the person said, pick one thing you want to work on and just work on that one thing. Whether it's standing over a certain terrain, rough terrain, or, the position of your feet on the pegs, or whatever it is, the leaning and turns. Pick that one thing that you want to work on that day, on that ride, and just focus on that. Don't focus on the 8,000 other things that you also need to work on. Learn one thing at a time, master it, get it down. The next ride you go out, you work on something else. And that's a much more easier way to do it, because then eventually these things become second nature in your riding. You're not even thinking about when you do it. So that's what I would suggest in terms of not overwhelming yourself. Lastly, I want to say, have fun. If it's not fun, there's no point in doing it, okay? I can tell you, I have an absolute blast riding the dirt bikes. Lot more fun than I ever expected. All growing up, my whole life, I always rode sport quads, and I still do. I have them in the garage, still, and they're not going to go nowhere. But I always wanted to dabble in dirt bikes, but I was always afraid, and the fear kept me from doing it my whole life. And then I got to, when I started, I was 47 at the time. I bought my first bike. And I just was like, you know what? It's now or never. I just want to try it, So, and I did, and I'm glad. And my only regret is I didn't start sooner. It's been an absolute blast. There's no end in sight in me not riding dirt bikes. It's something I want to continue doing for as long as I can, as long as my body will allow me to. That's another thing too. Keep yourself in good shape, because riding a dirt bike it's not easy. You're using a lot of muscles. You're going to be sore, particularly your legs, your forearms. Proper technique helps with a lot of that, but you're still going to get sore. You're going to get muscles that you've never used before. And that's going to happen. It's normal to be expected. Get some body protection. I don't mean body protection for the bike, I mean for your body. I'm guilty of that. I wear gloves, a helmet, boots. At minimum, you want boots and a helmet and some good gloves. But elbow pads, a chest protector, some knee pads, all good things to get. Because when you do fall, if you fall on rocks or something like that, last thing you want to do is shatter an elbow or break an arm or, you know, shatter a kneecap, something like that. It can happen. It can happen easy. You know, be protected, protect yourself. Then, you know, you can work on, obviously, protection items for the bike to keep the bike from getting too damaged while you're out there when you do drop it. So these are all things to think about. It's a lot to think about. It can be overwhelming when you first start. Believe me, I understand. But as you see, you know, I got some damage. It is going to happen, you know, nothing crazy. You got some scrapes on the handguards, broken lever, small ding in the bike. When you tip the bike over, the bike falls on the floor. Everything's going to, you know, you just got to be okay with that. And don't go, I think the last piece of advice I want to do is say to you is a lot of people are guilty of this. Even people in the quad community, I see it all the time online. Somebody gets something, they just got it, never rode a dirt bike before, and they're like, oh, what mods do I need? What you know, what? And they ask an online community, and the first things everybody says is a pipe, a tuner, more power, this, that, and the other thing. And man, if you're learning how to ride, that's the last thing you want to be doing. Don't worry about what modifications you can make to the bike. Worry about the modifications you can make to yourself, your skill set. That should be the primary goal and focus, is developing your skills. Forget about modifying your bike and making it faster and better and this, that, and the other thing. Work on your skills first. Obviously, if you get a bike and you're riding it and you realize, man, these foot pegs, like they're too small, or I got no grip or whatever, and it's negatively affecting the way you're riding, and it's a hindrance to your ability to learn, that's a different story. But you don't need to get a bike and throw a pipe on it and tune it and, you know, modify your suspension and do all these things that, you know, you need to work on your skills first, okay? Good set of skills is going to get you far. It's 90% the rider, 10% the bike. The bike is going to help you in a lot of situations, but a good set of skills is going to get you through most situations. So work on yourself, work on your skills, then worry about when you get good enough. Decide if that first bike you bought is even the bike you want to keep, and then worry about modifying the bike after that to grow with you, so to speak. Don't get the bike to a point where it's too much for you to ride, and that wasn't the goal to begin with. The goal was for you to learn how to ride and get something that's easy for you to learn how to ride on. That should be the goal. So these are just some things that pop into my head that I think are things that you need to think about if you're learning. If you're thinking about getting into dirt bike and learning how to ride a dirt bike. I'm glad I did it. I have zero regrets. I've taken some spills, but no serious injuries. So I had some bumps and bruises. Just be careful out there. Have fun. If it's something you've always wanted to do, then do it. There's no tomorrow. So make today count. All right, guys. So that is it. Get out there. Have some fun. Be safe. Hope you guys liked the video. Smash that thumbs up button on your way out if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you like what I do. And we'll catch you guys on the next video.